Guys, and welcome to another episode of Air Tycoon Online. I'm so used to saying Air Tycoon Online that I said it wrong. Air Tycoon 5. Yeah, today we're starting off here just about where we left off. I think I don't remember playing too much offline. I might have. But yeah, if we take a look at some of our statistics here, let's go into our profit first. We can see that 329k, it's not too bad. We've been in a bunch of downticks basically recently, and we're about to start hitting the upticks. So we're just about on the cusp of where things are starting to get really interesting, and we're going to see how much money we can make in these months. The next thing we kind of need to do is we have a lot of routes to open. Yeah, it's kind of time to just go through and just do like sweeping like takes of all the slots, everywhere in the basis that we do have. Tons of work to be done, and we're going to try and see kind of how fast we can do it here. Now, basically, I'm just going to try and open every route to nearby cities here, and we're just going to see how long it takes to kind of do that for Chicago. Like 17 planes, I think, now that our airline is actually getting kind of big, right? If we're going to want to make any meaningful dent in, profit increases, we're going to have to start moving fast. 17 to 20, Tupolevs per turn is starting to get kind of ridiculous, right? And there has to be a limit to kind of how many Tupolevs we should get before it's just not worth getting them instead of long haul aircraft at some point. While long haul aircraft can indeed serve two routes, while every short haul aircraft can only serve one. There are so many more long haul routes in the entire world than there are short haul routes, and if that doesn't immediately make sense, you kind of think about it, right? How many cities are within 2,000 kilometers of your house, or one city? Maybe not so many. Maybe a few hundred. In a pretty population dense place, right? But then think about how many cities are within 20,000 kilometers within your house. It's the entire world, right? So that's a lot more, and same goes for 10,000. Well, the area of the world which is covered by a 10,000 kilometer sphere is just, or circle, is just huge. So it kind of makes a lot of sense that there's a lot more long haul routes in the world. Now, unlike in more realistic demand scenarios, this long haul demand is not nearly as high as the short haul demand. Not everybody's doing these insane 25-hour flights everywhere, every day in real life. But of course, in Air Tycoon, that's not quite the case, as you can just scale down the size of the plane enough to make it profitable at basically any range, less than like close to half the, like, basically, except for Antipodes, which are opposite points on the planet. So yeah, like, you can just continue to open all sorts of routes, and you won't have any trouble there. Now, we haven't quite finished Chicago yet, but I just want to do a little bit of routes to LA just to occupy some slots here. Yeah, there's some like okay untaken cities to LA, so we're gonna go ahead and just grab as many of them as we can. We only have 4 or 5 planes left, but that's okay. I think another thing we need to fix, and this is probably the biggest headache in the game, I really wish, if there's ever an Air Tycoon 6 or an Air Tycoon online, what would they be on now? 4? Air Tycoon Online 4? Yeah, if there's ever one of those, I really hope that this is automated, because fixing these is no fun, you know what I mean? It's tedious, it's obvious what to do, you just have to go do it. No real strategy there, it's just kind of maintenance for the sake of maintenance is the way I feel about it. And that's not too fun. So yeah, anyways, let's go fix our price. I'm gonna make sure I've bought fuel, though I think I have, and I'm gonna go fix those red warning messages over there. Alright guys, and we are back. And as we can see, I fixed almost all the airports which had overflowing counters and offices. So now that that's fixed, I also put in an order for some more Tupolevs, and we can go ahead and move on to the next turn. And in our first uptick, we're up to almost 400,000, and of course June is kind of the transition month between the downticks and the upticks, so it's kind of just a neutral tick, so it's not even bad. This is already quite profitable, which is really nice to see. And basically what we can do now is we can just continue to open, some pretty bog standard stopover routes. I'm really liking LA right now, because LA is of course a massive, massive airport, which makes even mediocre routes quite profitable, and we can do kind of silly stopovers like this. See if we can use London. Nope, not a proper stopover route, but as far south as Frankfurt works. So yeah, the unfortunately for these LA stopovers, the plane size is not quite big enough, but it should be fine. Yeah, with only 3 schedules per week, it's actually much smaller than kind of. Oh, Oh, I'm not investing in Rome, guys. That's a bit of a mistake. Um, that's an accident. I didn't mean to be doing that, but unfortunately, we kind of messed that up. Am I investing in Athens? Okay, yes, because if there's zero like name value in a city, opening a 747 to it is just not gonna yield great results. Um, so yeah, interesting. It looks like I forgot to invest in certain cities around the world. We'll find out where they are as we come up to them. But yeah, we can just kind of do some emergency, high levels of investment to try and kind of like fix it, and that's okay. Um, just because it's too low now doesn't mean it's not fixable. It does look like we'll probably, because there'll be a monopoly lockout in the slots in that airport, is we will probably have to buy that airline to unlock slots in that airport, unfortunately. Or I can do something silly where, for example, wow, there's competition there. I can do something silly like just buy out every single slot in some other nearby airport and use that to kind of make up for the lack of slots. That could also be an option. But we'll see which way we have to go at the end. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Let's also take a look at Chicago, make sure we have good coverage on the good cities. I mean, there's the mediocre ones left over, but I don't know how much I want to actually dedicate to turning these into stopovers. And taking a closer look, I've done most of the good ones. Like, there's stuff like Geneva, which is not bad, so I guess we'll do that. And yeah, like the really good legs like Hong Kong and stuff have been taken. Oh, that's 4 schedules per week, which is nice to see. There we go. Yeah, it looks like the 747 stopovers do take a little bit longer to set up, which is okay. Nothing really too bad going on there, so we can go ahead and set all these prices. And once again, probably take a look at the disaster that is our airports tab. Alright, it's actually not bad at all. So here's what I'm going to do here. Every time I see that we have not enough, I'm going to change it to 5 or 4 counters. And when it's 5 or 4 and it's not enough, I'm just going to buy the maximum amount that is purchasable in one go and just go from there. Yep, that looks great to me. Then we're going to go ahead and fill up with fuel, which is getting quite expensive, 200,000 now. And this is around for 747, so hopefully we can get like a full 8 here. Nice. Yeah, 8 of them. Boom, big order. Looks fantastic. You can go ahead and pass to the next turn. 431k, guys. It is starting to look much better. Hopefully there's one more uptick after this. I think there is. So yeah, what was our previous uptick here? What was this? It was 0.7. So if we go to 1 year ago, we're at 340k. And now we're almost 10% higher. So it really does look like we are just flying along now. Or not 10%, we're almost 100,000 higher. Which really looks fantastic for our progress. Anyways, this is a big Tupolev round again. And the Tupolev rounds do take longer because there's just so many Tupolevs every single time we have to deal with these. So let's go ahead and get started, because we're not going to finish if we don't start. Which is, if only I could understand that for my assignments. And yeah, we did end up finishing that one, so thanks guys for the support in the comments. I do read all the comments. I don't usually reply, but yeah, I appreciate everybody leaving comments, as it really encourages me to keep going and keep making videos when I see that people are actually watching, and that's really encouraging. Yes, anyhow, I'm wondering how much And if you're watching, please tell me how much of this like kind of just tedious, or maybe it's not tedious, like route making, do you want me to show when I'm just buying slots for Tupolevs or something like that, and just opening routes like that? Do you guys want to see me do this, or would you rather just watch when I make the bigger stopover routes with 747s or something like that? Because or would you like me to like bypass this era entirely, where I just continue to play offline or whatever like that, and then when I already have um unlocked, the ability to start buying non-Tupolev, non-747 aircraft, which usually happens in this game after about 15 years. I don't really quite remember, to be honest, but after more years than we've played so far, and those cities are so small, I don't even want to open a Tupolev route to them because they're just going to be bleeding money. Plus, I don't want slots encounters there because I don't think I'll ever open new routes. It looks like we're already out of slots in LA, which is kind of incredible. I only have 460, so yeah, we're gonna run out soon. I think I'll finish off Chicago then. Just make sure we have no more slots left here either. And then after that, we should honestly start to look towards more bases. I mean, Asia is basically untouched by us, but Asian bases are mostly long haul, as there's very few domestic destinations in Asia. This is kind of an interesting property of it, is there's just so many more cities which have airports in North America and Europe compared to Asia, that even there's just probably plenty of cities in Asia with over 1 million people, but not really major airports there. Like, I cannot tell you how many cities there are in China, which have more population than really, really famous cities in the U.S., like Washington D.C. or San Francisco, who are these major, major international airline hubs, right? And then how many cities there are which you've basically never heard of, and I probably haven't heard of in China, with over 1 million people who just don't have an airline, and that's of course the result of the economy not being quite as good. And just not having as much time to develop infrastructure. Now that there's a lot more people who can't afford to fly, so like there's airports probably coming up all the time that we don't really hear about there, and who knows? I think the China aviation market has already surpassed the U.S. and the EU as the largest in the world. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe that to be false, at least. And I don't see it going any other way for a while, as the population of China is just too big, right? With like 1.4 billion people there. Yeah, I don't think there's a realistic way. Like the U.S. market could be bigger or something with only 340 million people, or however many people live in the U.S. And of course, the U.S. aviation market is still huge. Don't get me wrong. But just there's other places in the world which will probably surpass them at some point. We could probably even see India surpassing them sometimes in the future. Just to the sheer volume of people, right? And anyways, that is all the Tupoles for this turn. Crazy turn. One thing we do need to do is I definitely believe we are gonna need more slots encounters. Counters and offices, I mean. I just would hate to see this turn red and lose a lot of money to that, so let's just buy a ridiculous amount, like 33 or something like that. Yeah, sure. Fill up our fuel. You can always tell you have a little bit too much money when you haven't filled up fuel, and I think we're going to be looking at starting to purchase non-Tupolev planes soon. Like, I don't know. What point should I stop purchasing Tupolevs? It's like, if there's demand for it, I think I should keep doing it, right? Like, the only reason I should stop is when I just run out of Tupolev routes altogether, or run out of slots in my main airports, right? Like, I think that's what I should be doing. Let's take a look at our investment. Any airports hitting 50 soon? Moscow, surprisingly, Singapore, Frankfurt. Frankfurt should be great for Tupolevs, so let's accelerate this to maximum. Why not? That's just so expensive. That's so not worth. Istanbul, Hong Kong. Yeah, Atlanta will be good, so let's go ahead and prioritize that a bit. Same with Amsterdam. I think Amsterdam should have some increased priority there. yeah, I just need more European cities, which are great for Tupolevs, because there's so many destinations, right? And yeah, let me see if there's anything that's not sitting on 100% load factor right now. Let's scroll down to the bottom, and yeah, what's not at 120 maximum load factor right now? So are these brand new? Yeah, these are new routes, so I can't quite say whether they'd be full or not. Let's go to the point where... Alright, so these are 124s. They're not quite full anymore. These are good routes too, in general, but they're almost full, so who cares? Like, as long as they're not losing money, I guess that's the point, right? Though, yeah, those are just terrible aircraft. Anyways, did I fix the pricing this time? 1.2, yes, I did. Purchase the aircraft. All right, next month we go. And okay, it looks like yeah, that's the last uptick, unfortunately. But yeah, 430k is not bad. Now 8 747s. What are we gonna do with these? That's a lot. I think what I'm gonna start to do now is just do routes to London that aren't exactly the best of the best, but not bad. You know what I mean? Like stuff like Havana, maybe. Santo Domingo, definitely. I think the main reason for that is just because we're starting to lose a lot of good routes to the American airports that we've been focusing on recently. So I think this might be the play. Yeah, and there's still great destinations like Calcutta. Yeah, we can go ahead and open these up. We can actually do the reverse of this to Paris. So Calcutta. What do we have available here? I'm just looking for airports that aren't too good but aren't too bad. Preferably over 300 is what I'm looking for here. So like Tampa, perfect. We need more slots in Paris. Do we have any? Yes, perfect. Yep, this is the kind of, I think, good kind of routes we can be opening for now. It's just kind of the routes we missed to some of these major European airports. It's pretty good coverage here. Hanoi, Da Nang is a bit too far. I guess we could do Kunming. It's not a great city. How's Nanjing? Nanjing is not great. Daegu is not bad. Daegu is not bad. Vladivostok. Yeah, let's do Vladivostok and Daegu. These are both cities which are just above 300. So we can go ahead and connect them to London, I think. Now, on the other side of the world, we can use something like Hamilton, which is just above 300 as well. So that should be good. What is that? Yeah, it's like 320 business and tour. And we'll just mirror it with Paris. Paris is smaller, but I'm just going to treat it as if it's basically the same as London for simplicity's sake. Oh, that's not the surface level we were looking for, right? Shenyang, not great. Harbin, not great. I think Daegu's next, which is about 220 or 320. Anything over 300 on this side left. Let's see. Cincinnati. How's Cincinnati? I have like the instinct of buying the slots first. Oh, Cincinnati is great. I'm surprised we don't have that yet. Nice. Let's get this out of the way. And that means we probably don't have it to Paris either. So, great. And then to Daegu. Boom, that looks fantastic. Let me just check South America and South Africa. Just make sure that there's kind of normal slot counts, because that's kind of a big determining factor in whether or not you have flights there, right? It's just check the number of slots being used. See, Chihuahua only has one flight, so we can make the corresponding Paris flight now. Where to, though? Where to? I think Tashkent is pretty good. Ooh, just above 300. Is there anything better? Ahmedabad. How is mail? Oh, not quite. Just looking for that 300 business and tour. The main reason I'm like being this much of a stickler, though, is not because it matters that much, but it's simply because we gotta do stuff in some order, right? And you can honestly do these things in so many orders. If you don't put some kind of organization to it, at least for me, it kind of makes me a little bit confused. So I think we're just gonna do something like this. Not the best route, but hey, what can you do sometimes? continue with London. Anything else just stands out to me. I think we have to start going for cities which are just hovering 300, and this is kind of where these are really not optimal for down ticks. So they're not too great. You kind of want to avoid them if possible, or if you can find other good routes. But for now, I think we'll just knock them out like this. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, once again, they'll just be a little bit lacking when on the down ticks, but on the up ticks, they'll be great. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and buy fuel. And buy, I think this is a Tupolev round, right? I know when you buy 747s, you buy 747s. Like, or when you use 747s, you buy 747s again. Let's see how many we can get. 8. Beautiful. And yeah, I'll just save the rest for Tupolev's next round, right? Oh, no, I can use that to lease another one. I forget, like, the lease total has funny math because it considers lease planes towards the total. So 30% is actually more like a I guess 30% is 30%, but it just feels like a little bit more, which is kind of funny. Yeah, looking at our plane count, still have 403, so I don't know. I felt like it would be higher, but I guess you don't use planes that fast when you're just playing single player. So let's probably do one more month. And yeah, that down take looks so unfortunate, and that is because Heathrow is overcrowded. So it's worse than it needs to be. Let's go ahead and fix Heathrow. Make sure it doesn't overcrowd, because that was costly. And also fix these kind of medium-sized airports. Once again, fixing them with just 5 offices. That's all we really care for. I don't know if I'm kind of underdoing this or overdoing this. Like, is 5 too many? Should I be doing 1 at a time, or should I be doing 5 and hope that it just never overflows again, right? But I reckon those airports will at some point in the future need to be modified. So now here's the problem. I have 20 Tupolev. I do not know if there are enough slots on the map right now for me to use 20 Tupolevs. And that is when I need to start buying non-Tupolev aircraft. And the reason this is happening is because I didn't buy or didn't invest enough to have that as an option, you know, just have more different cities that I can just open a base in, you know, and just buy all the slots out there. So if we take a look at our investment, which is quite high right now, let's see where we're about to get. Singapore soon, Frankfurt soon, but that's still quite a few turns off. So looking at this, you know, we got a dozen slots here or there, but that's genuinely just not a lot. So yeah, that means whatever I do next episode should be pretty exciting. But for now, I'm just going to try and find a home for these off camera, because this might be quite tedious. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.